Hello.
Hi,
Welcome.
Dippers.
Hi. Have you been sweet? Have you been hot?
Have you been a little bit of both?
Did you miss us while we treat this podcast like network television?
I know we just leave y'all hanging, and then you don't know when we coming back. Oh my gosh. We have good reasons though. Just know this.
We do.
We
We do.
always have good reasons. And we're gonna get into a little bit later about why it's been so long since
And
the
what had
last time that
happened
you heard us
was,
and what had happened. And
yeah.
that sounds like we're making excuses when you use that verbiage, what had happened, but
Mhm.
it's true. Like it's not an excuse. It is true. But we're so glad to be back. I am Melanie Lauren.
And I'm Holly Chanel, and this is Dipped with Sweet and Hot.
It is. It
And
is.
friend, we are here at our season finale.
We made it.
We made it to
We've been
season
talking
2.
about Black love for
Yep.
many, many months.
Many-
In many in many, many forms.
But it's a layered topic, as we have discovered.
And you know what?
delved
And what we discovered as we were looking through, because we are, thoughtful podcast creators and producers, as we were looking through our show notes and what we set out to do for this season of Black Love. This topic is so rich. There's stuff that we said we were going to dig into that we didn't dig into. And it's just like the conversations took us other places, but we've had a really great season. And I encourage you all to go back and look at some of these shows and listen to these podcasts about Black love in its many forms, because it's been a very rich season for us. But we're going to do what we always do, which is get
like
into
we always
that.
do with this time. I'm sorry.
For mine.
No,
you can't give
we
us
banned Kanye.
Oh yeah, why would you go with that one?
Listen, because it was so on the tip of the tongue, and his recent foolery is so recent. It's kind of like how it took people forever to stop singing R. Kelly when they
and some people still haven't.
And people, I'm not gonna shout no names
Don't
out.
say no names. You know who you are. But yeah.
But no, but all that said though, like, yeah, I'm sorry. I don't condone the selling of swastika t-shirts. Like,
fair
that's
enough.
a bridge too far. So I am so sorry for that reference. But you were saying, friend.
Well, I was going to dig into the hot, but I just want to also just point out the fact that we are concluding this season of Black Love. That being said,
is love.
Say that again.
Being Black is love.
Yeah, that sounds like some snaps should come behind it, like we're like a spoken word thing.
Yeah.
But you, my friend, are gonna kick us off with something hot. So what's hot?
Me.
I mean, that's always the case, but are we going to get more specific?
We are going to get more specific. We are. There's so much going on. Life has definitely been lifing, and some sweet things have happened. But the most recent hot thing is the other day, I was putting my hair in a bun, and I don't know if it's age or just misuse, but I somehow got a pinched nerve in my neck and back.
Oh,
and in my trapezoid muscle somewhere around in there. And so, like, I just been walking around a little lopsided, trying to. And I've been leaning, which folks have been asking me questions. I'm like, I got a crick in my neck. Like, I don't know what to tell you.
They're like, why are you tilting your head that way? Not you've been walking with the permanent, but you just got the lean.
I got a shoulder lean, shoulder lean. Yeah.
Friend, do you need a chiro recommendation?
Listen, or a good massage, any takers?
I can point you to a massage therapist. That's what I can do. That's about all I can do. Oh, I'm sorry. That sounds really painful, actually.
Yeah, it is. It is painful. But I'm going to tell you the thing that's most hot. And it's a great segue to your sweet. I am pissing hot mad that you have in-unit laundry now. I'm mad. I'm upset.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so friend, one of the things that has been going on since the last time that you heard from us, in the middle of, trying to get the things together, if you've been following our season, you know what this season finale show is about and what we're going to talk about. And it took some planning and some doing. And in the middle of that, the other thing that happened is I moved into a different building. And now, for the first time, I have a washer and dryer right here in the unit with me, and it's glorious.
Now
Now,
look,
she's mad.
look. I called Melanie one morning and we was just shooting the shit. And I said, "Oh, what'd you do yesterday?" She said, "Oh," and like just as casual as you please.
I
She
mean,
was
it's
like,
the
she's like, "Oh, well, I have in-unit laundry now, so I did a load." And I'm like, "Oh, I hear that. Have a good day. Goodbye." Oh, hang the phone. I'm good.
hater. She's a
Extre-
hater.
extremely so.
Yo, y'all. So for those of you all who have not had to take your laundry down to another floor in your building
Or out your building.
or out your building, you probably can't relate because this has been your life for a while. But for me, this is the first time in my adult life living by myself where I did not have to exit my unit and go down and then share with other people. And are there any washing machines available? Are there any dryers available? And then I got to go back down there in 30 minutes to switch it over. It's so disruptive.
I'm
And
happy for you, but I'm hating.
she really is. I'm happy. And it's the little things. You get grown and you get really excited about stuff like being able to do in-unit laundry. Because laundry is one of my least favorite chores. I don't really have a
100%.
favorite one. But if I'm keeping it really real, there's none of them that I like.
Yeah.
But laundry is the one that really, because of the rigmarole, it takes me a while, right? And now I have, here's the other thing though. Now I have no excuses, right? I have no excuses. It should happen more frequently. We'll see how that goes.
We'll see how it plays out.
But yeah, you over there mad because you got a crook in your neck and you look with that crook, you looking at me do laundry.
Right. And I got all of these loads of laundry that I need to somehow get downstairs with this crick in my neck.
Oh gosh. So y'all, sometimes the hot is really just frustration. It's just like a little spicy. It's not up to that ghost pepper status.
It's not in fuego.
But it's enough. It's enough to be hot. But I think, I'm gonna balance some of that hot with with some sweet.
Okay.
Now, friends, I told y'all that we were going to do something special for this season finale, that we are going to go out on semi-blind or semi-blind dates with Black gentlemen to celebrate Black love.
Mm-hmm.
We happen to be heterosexual, so Black men who are interested in women. And we were going to go out on these dates with these gentlemen that we've never dated before, that we hadn't met before. And we were going to come back and spill the tea. And we will. And that ties into my sweet, because I would like to say that I had a very sweet date. Okay.
I am happy for you, friend.
With a gentleman that, again, met the criteria, whom I had never met. We had a really good evening out. So I'm going to detail that my sweet is going to be in the details of what happened. But for now, just know Melanie had a sweet date. But before I get into my sweet date, I'm seeing your face and I can't really ignore it. Well, first of all, before you detail your experience, we got to talk about how we got here.
No, we got to talk about how we got here, because before I talk about my experience, I want y'all to know that once again, this was a Melanie Lauren big brain, bright idea. Okay. That Hollee was subjected to have to participate in. Now, yes, was I a willing participant? 100%. Yes. I was a willing participant, but was I pretty much 100% assured that there was going to be some level of tomfoolery and shenanigans involved in this?
Also, yes.
Also, yes. Also, yes. Okay. So the original idea was that we would have our male friends, folks who are like brothers to us, one of whom was featured on the season opener and season 1's finale, Olumide Jones and company were supposed
We're only saying his name because he's appeared
been
on the show before.
He's been on the show. So him and his people and our people were supposed to find us some dates. Well, these slackers.
Can I just jump in here? Because I feel like we need to explain the timeline. This is where the timeline comes into play. Yes. Because I said I was going to let you know why it's been so long. I just want y'all to know that we asked for this in October.
Was it October?
Yes, ma'am. It was October. We were like, hey, we had this plan. We solicited the help from the homies to hook us up on these dates in October. Continue.
All right. And for the sake of that, I'm going to minorly break a podcast rule. And only because we love these gentlemen and they love us. Chris, Rob, and Meiji.
Oh, she said names.
If I see you on the street, it's a misunderstanding.
Oh, no.
Ah.
Okay, she hot for real, y'all.
I'm hot. Okay, so that didn't pan out. And now, so I'm a little bit understanding because they're like, we don't know any single dudes who are willing to do it for the plot, right? Because that was the whole thing. It was supposed to be very low stakes. It was supposed to be
as first dates are, right?
Yeah.
Like you haven't invested a whole lot. You just gonna go meet that person, see what the vibe is.
No promises of a second date.
Nothing. No commitment.
No commitment, and anonymity is protected on the podcast unless you are Chris, Rob, or Meiji. Okay,
you've lost privileges.
You've lost privileges. So that didn't pan out. They claim they didn't know any single dudes or whatever. But in the meantime, I reconnected with some grammar school friends.
Wait. Okay, yes. It took a while though, right? I'm just doing timeline here.
Yeah.
We asked for it. We were like, hey, what's up? Y'all got, we ain't got nobody. So then Hollee and I decided plan B. We had to move on to plan B. A couple months later and say, okay, Hollee, we just gonna do this. I'm gonna find somebody for you. And you gonna find somebody for me.
Exactly.
And we're gonna hook each other up. That's what plan B was when we moved on to plan B.
Now, I should have known that this plan B was not gonna be successful given the dynamic of Mel and I's friendship. I should have known.
Say more, because I don't know if I'm feeling accused or what.
Yeah, well, no, it's not an accusation. So if you know me personally, you know that one of my claim to fame is that I'm a consummate wing woman. I'm an excellent wing woman. I have a success rate that is better than most wing men. Okay. I'm not new to this. I'm true to this. And so when I was finding somebody for her, it was easy breezy. I think that's a word. Bada boom, bada bing. Here you go.
Was it easy?
It was literally, I was like, hey, would you be willing? And he was like, yeah.
Okay.
Now, Melanie, what happened on your end?
Well, you know what? It seemed easy on my end as well, I will say. So on my end, I started to think, who do I know? And there is some truth to the fact that, like, and this reflects what a lot of women are experiencing in our world, right? There is some truth to the fact that, like, I was, some of the guys that are in my sphere of influence, I guess I should say, are not single, right? And so I'm like, okay, well, who's single and who do I think would be a good match, if even just for a good night out, right? For Hollee. I know Hollee. Hollee is very easy to get along with. You're gonna have a good, thoughtful conversation. She's funny, like she's not like super picky, whatever. Come respectfully, it's gonna be fine. So I'm like, who can go? So I think of someone that I'm gonna hook her up with. And so I say, actually, at the point that I made the pitch, so to speak, I was in a room full of a few guys. And I started it by saying, who in here is unattached? Everybody gets a little nervous. And then a couple hands go up. And I said, okay, here's what I want to do. I want to set you up with my girl. Y'all go out, blah, 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 blah. He's like, okay, his hand went up quickly. Like, I'm out here, I'm single, sexy, and free. And so, like, I can do this. And so I'm like, yeah, so this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna hook y'all up. Y'all gonna go, whatever. He was down, right? And so I said, okay, let me make the intro and y'all take it from there. So what Hollee and I both did was we just did it. I did it first, and then she basically did the same thing.
I copied and pasted.
She did very much copy and paste. So what I did was I texted them both at the same time. I put us all in a group, me, Hollee, and the guy I was setting her up with. I told him I was going to do that though. And so I'm like, hey, we're going to use aliases, okay, for the duration of the podcast. All right. So we're going to call this man Philip. Okay. Philip. So, because I thought of something really funny first. That's why I laughed like that. We're not going to call him that. I say, Philip, meet Hollee. Hollee, meet Philip. I'm going to let you all take it from here. But I figure these are a few of the things that you all have in common. You both are from the city of Chicago. You both love and appreciate music. You both, I know, love and appreciate some good food and a good meal. And I have had deep, entertaining, and thought provoking conversations individually with both of you all. So, if nothing else, you should be able to go out for a night, have some good food, have some good conversation. And if it doesn't go anywhere from there, fine, you've had a good night out. Everybody's like, bang, bang, boom. Oh, okay, cool. Y'all take it from here, contact each other directly.
Here's what had happened was.
What happened?
So we say hi in the group chat. We go off on our own text thread. We get to the text thread. He's like, all right, I'm going to hit you up tomorrow around 4 p.m. So I say, all right, cool. Well, he does hit me up the next day, but it's like 3 hours after 4 p.m. Okay, fine. Now, I work in a nightlife industry, right? I'm in a bar industry. I was at work genuinely. And I think it was on a weekend. And, weekends are super, super busy. So I did not save his number and I didn't know that he had called me until I went back and was like, oh, he was supposed to
Because he
call
called
me.
you while you were at work?
Right. And so I
Okay.
didn't realize that he had called me because I didn't save his number as his name. So long story short, I did not get back to him until like 4 days later. I called him back and I said, hey, my bad. I didn't realize that you had called me after the time, but whatever. We have a 35-minute introductory conversation on the phone. It's cool. And I said, all right, look, I'm easy breezy. I'm not getting ready to dictate what we should do. You give me your best, do your best. Here's when I'm available. Let me know when you're ready to make it happen. He says, all right, great, cool. We end the conversation. I'm thinking love is love, right? I hear nothing. Crickets, just a gaggle of crickets rubbing their little legs together. Okay. So I give grace because it took me 4 days. I waited a week. I waited a whole week and didn't hear anything. And so I sent him a text message. And I was like, hey, how's your week been going? Because I didn't, I hate when people come in hot with an accusation like, weren't you supposed to hit me up?
Yeah, because you don't know what's been happening.
Because you never know what's been happening with
in somebody's
somebody,
world.
right?
Yeah.
Exactly. And so I was like, hey, how's your week going? Did you get into anything? Them crickets was rubbing very fast.
And first of all, sidebar, I didn't know that's where the sound came from. You learn something new every day.
Oh yeah, crickets make the sound by rubbing their legs together.
Yeah. Look, science class with Hollee Chanel.
With Hollee Chanel. All that said, I hit Melanie up at like the 8-day mark. And I said, this is your contact. What should I do? Because I don't want to be overbearing. I don't want to push it. Because again, the majority of this is for the plot, right? So she was like, okay, well, let's just give it a couple days and see what happens.
Well, no, what I said was because I'm in a position to see him in person sometimes.
Right.
Or I was.
Right.
And so I was like, give me a couple days. I'm probably going to see him. I'm going to see what's up.
So you run into him, right?
Yep. I ran into him.
And what does he say?
I run into him and he's like, man, I had a few things that kind of outstanding things that I had questions about for him. One related to this and then some other stuff. And he was just like, man, it's just really been a lot going on. Life has been hectic. I've been busy with this. I got to go do that. I got to go do that. Yep. I got to go do that too. Yep. I got to call her back too. And so I was like, okay, let me know. But I'm like, okay, well, the initial plan was he was going to come on to talk about this with Hollee, to talk about their experience. Like we were going to invite him if he wanted to come on and talk about the date so you get his side of it too. And so I told him, I just reminded him of timeline and I was just like, yeah, we really trying to do this season finale recording where you guys talk about the date soon. Basically, go ahead and set this up so we can bring you on the show and y'all can talk about the experience.
Long story short, there was no date. How was yours, Melanie?
Yo, here's the thing. Like you said, you don't want to be overbearing. I'm not trying to force, like, you know what I mean? the strong arming of it defeats the purpose, right? You want to know that if you're going out and you spending a night with somebody, that you're doing it because you at least are both at least preliminarily interested in getting to know the other person. Like you can't know too much ahead of time because you don't know
You
this
mean
person.
spending time with somebody, because spending a night is a different activity,
Oh, I'm
Melanie.
sorry. I didn't mean spending the night.
Yeah,
I meant
spending.
spending time getting to know in a public setting is
Okay,
what
fair enough.
a date is
Yeah.
what I was
Okay. Cool.
talking about.
Because I
I
was like,
misspoke.
where does spending night bag come from? Like, what?
I misspoke. Now look, I wasn't going to dictate where it went, but that is not what I meant.
We all
So
grown.
we all grown. But anyway, yeah. So after I said something, she said something, and it still didn't go anywhere. We both decided to let it go. And what we decided was like, hey, let's talk about the real, right? Let's talk
Yeah.
about the real of it. But before we do that, would you like for me to share my experience first?
Of course, because Holly, being the consummate wing woman that she
You
is.
listen, you cannot take credit for someone else's actions. Okay. She's going to try though. She is trying it. I just want y'all to know. I think that this experiment, this foray into Black romantic love, actually really does highlight the reality of the spectrum of experiences out here, right? Because I already told you at the top of the show that I had a very sweet experience. So I did actually go on a date. And so if I give you the version of what happened that's not elongated, what I will say, I promise to spill the tea, right? So she puts us in a group thread just like I put her in a group thread, right?
Wait, for the audience, just so you know, we did not tell each other about these dates. Well, she didn't tell me about her date. So I'm hearing about this in real time.
Right, exactly. After she puts us in contact with each other, pretty much a night and day experience. I will say that. Like, he hits me relatively soon and he's like, hey, nice to meet you. You know, basically, what's your availability? Right to like, what's your availability? So I tell him, and so he's like, okay, how about this date? So we set a date for the date. He's like, okay, we got the date on the books. I'll hit you up closer to the date. We set the date probably out about like a week and a half or 2 weeks out, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I'll hit you up closer to the date with the plan for what we're gonna do. And he was like,
Mm-hmm.
but I can tell you that, you know, it's gonna be something low key, it's gonna be something casual. So I'm like, okay, cool. We go about our la-di-da lives, right? We get close to the date where we're supposed to go out. He hits me and he's like, are you still available on this day at this time? And I say, yep, still available this day at this time. She over here tripping. And so he's like,
Confirm
okay.
the date.
He confirmed the date. And so he's like, okay, cool. This is what we're going to do. And I love this idea. He was like, we went to one of those, like, I don't know how to describe it, elevated mini golf places for adults.
Like Top Golf or something like that.
Kind of like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Except this was real instead. Like it was a combination of real and virtual, right?
Okay.
Well, it was
Okay.
okay. I take this back. It was supposed to be kind of virtual, like Top Golf. Okay. He was like, yeah, we're gonna go. He was like, let's set it. This was a Saturday. He was like, let's set it for like 6 o'clock. That way, you know, if you want, you still got the rest of your late evening free.
Right. Right.
I thought that was very considerate of him. We could spend a couple of hours. I could have the rest of the evening free. I'm like, okay, cool. Love the fact that you came up with a cool plan. He was like, you can be casual. This is a place where they serve food and drink and the gaming of the golf. So plenty of opportunity to do whatever you want. I'm liking this, right? Cool. So we get to the day of, he's like, do you want me to pick you up or you want to meet me out there? Now, the place was kind of far out. So I generally like to meet people on a first date if I don't know who they are, because I have a thing about people knowing where I live. And so I hit her though, and I'm like, she knows him. I like, if
She's
is he
like,
gonna
can I ride in the car with me?
like can I ride in the car with him? Where am I gonna get? Do you feel confident that I won't get trafficked? If you feel confident that I won't get trafficked into another country or snatched out here, then I'm gonna go ahead and ride in this car because this place is kind of far. She's like, yeah, you'll be fine. You'll survive.
Yeah, he cool.
So I'm like, okay, cool. So I say, yeah, you can pick me up. Give him my address. Day of comes. He texts me and he's like, I forgot to make the reservation. And I'm like, okay. He was like, now the only time that they have available the earliest we could go is 9:30.
Whoop.
And I was like, ooh, okay. Now I'm grown, but I do have an early morning singing gig that following Sunday. And so I'm like, all right, let's do it 9:30. Then he writes back, just kidding. Found another place where we can get in earlier. I'm like, perfect. Plan saved. Crisis averted. Troubleshooting. More points. Troubleshooting, right? He comes to pick me up. He's a gentleman. Like, he comes to pick me up. He opens the doors. He does all the things that are stereotypical chivalrous, right? Opens the door. We chit chat or whatever. We go. We're driving. We go to the place. This is where the funniest part of the day occurs to me. One of the funniest parts. So we have trouble parking because he spot heroed to be able to park in a garage near this place. We couldn't find like the entrance. It was like one of those multi-purpose garages where like half of it is for the residents and half of it is for like commercial retail use.
Right.
He's like, which door? So we try to get in here. We call for, and I'm trying to help. Like, well, it looks like we should go over there, but that gate won't go up. Where are we going? So finally we give up and we decide to hit the little assistance button on the call box. And he's like, yo, where am I supposed to go? That person was a very little help, right? Well, the gate should be open. If it ain't open, you can't go in there. He's like, well, ma'am, I already paid for this. He's like, I see one spot right here that looks like maybe I should park in it, maybe I shouldn't. Well, if you can get in there, just park right in there. I'm like, oh, Jesus. Hopefully your car is still here when we come back, right? So he proceeds. It's a very awkward, it's got pillars, cement pillars. It's like hard to navigate to get into this spot. So he proceeds to try to back into this spot. All of a sudden, it's he hit one of the pillars. Baby, he tried to move, hit it again. He must have hit this pillar. And I'm sitting there in the car like, oh my God. Every time I can feel the scratches going in, like, and you know how you be touching it and you gotta scratch your car more to get up off of it.
Melanie,
baby, I am hurting for him. I'm in the passenger seat like, oh no. He's like, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Let me try again. So he tries again, hits it again. I said, oh shit. I said, oh my God, we are messing your car up right now. So we get in this. He's like, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. I said, oh shoot. So we get out the car. Lewis is like, what was he pushing? A car that's nicer than mine, which is why I felt bad. Like, and so he's trying to get in this spot to take me on this date, and he is effing this. I'm feeling like he is effing this car up. Okay. And so, like,
you made him nervous, Melanie.
Listen, friend, you probably listening because you listen to the show. My date, we're gonna call my date Richard, okay?
I want to call him Magic. He know why.
I'm like, yo, we get into the spot. He's like, that's okay. That's what insurance is for. That's what Gail said. He was like, that's okay. That's what insurance is for. And I'm like, yeah, but oh my God. So we get out the car. I feel so bad. I was like, he had like a navy blue, like really nice, like newer model, some kind of SUV. And I was like, ah, oh my God. And so I look at this. He's like, no. He gets out. He checks it. He's like, superficial wounds, superficial scratches. I can buff this out right here. It ain't even that deep. It didn't go that deep. And I'm like, okay, good. Okay, good. Whew. I'm like, because I'm sitting up here feeling terrible, right? But he said it was superficial. I prayed that it was. Friend, I hope your insurance deductible doesn't go up from doing this. It was smooth sailing from there. We get inside the spot. It's not very crowded. We sit down. We order drinks. We order food. Conversation was flowing such. We didn't even get up to play golf. The whole we were like talking, and he was just like, I mean, I'm like, sir, do you want to go? Because we were there, at a off-peak time, but then it started to build. Lines started to get a little long. I was like, hey, do you want to get in line to like, hit some of these balls? Like, what you want to do? He's like, we can if you want to, or like, I'm good just like chilling right here if you are. And so I'm like, okay, cool. We talk about all kinds of stuff, travel, places where we want to go. He told me about he's divorced, and so he told me a little bit about that story and like what happened there, and I told him a little bit about my story. And then we got into some like really thought-provoking conversation about just like therapy, and like, you know, we both had like sense of like going into therapy and like what we were talking about there and like some of the things we've learned and where we are with that journey and all of that. All to say, long story short, really good date. This was a really good date. Now, I know the burning question. Lewis said what the check looked like. Well, I would say I had like maybe two drinks.
How much? We need a dollar amount.
Oh, I don't know because he paid it. That's all Lewis wanted to know. Y'all, I'm gonna be honest. I don't know what the check looked like because he paid the check, and I'm very grateful and thankful that he did. I asked him about it, but I could tell from the vibe that he probably was gonna pick the check up. And a lot of times, as a woman, you can tell. But like, he had a few drinks, I had a few drinks. We shared some pizza. It was good, and we sat there and we talked.
So for the dippers who are keeping score, Melanie, in addition to having in-unit laundry, also had a wonderful date, a wonderful blind date. Just in case we're keeping score.
I did. And this was a handsome guy. We had a great time. Now I know the burning question is, will I see him again? That's the burning question. The burning answer is probably not. The answer is no. And I'm gonna tell you, she's shocked, right? Lewis's head is shaking his head. Y'all want to know? You're a little surprised, right?
Yeah.
Let me tell you why I consider this. This was a very good date, but we will not see each other again. And I'm going to tell you why, and why it was still a very good date, even though we won't see each other again. Okay. As we were talking about our experiences and where we were, I feel this conversation was so good and it's very sweet to me because the level of emotional maturity that was present in this conversation, the level of self-awareness that was present in this conversation on my part and his part, yes, racking up all the points. He was very honest with me and was just like, hey, I'm not gonna like tell details or whatever, but just to summarize, he's still in a place of like trying to work through, I would say, healing from his divorce journey. He's in therapy. So we just happen to be at different places because he is in a place where he's like, I'm super casual right now. I'm not really in a place to involve myself in anything that's more than just like really casual at this point. And on the other hand, I'm very honest and self-aware and saying, hey, I'm looking for something more than that right now. And so two really cool people had a really great conversation, had a really great time. And what he said was, he was just like, hey, I think he had a little bit of nervousness about my reaction to him saying that he wasn't in a place for anything serious, because he said in his history, he was like, whenever I've been honest with women and said that before, he was like, they say they're okay with the fact that I can't proceed in anything serious right now. And then later it comes back to bite me because they're really not okay with it. And they start exhibiting behavior and they have expectations that don't line up with the fact that, like, they said they were okay with something more casual and they're not. And I said, one thing you need to know about Melanie, I'm going to listen to what you say to me. Other people in my life can attest to this. You are not going to say one thing to me and I decide that you really mean something else.
No translation here.
I'm not going to do that. So what I hear you telling me is that you're not there right now. I'm not going to decide that you are. And I'm not going to pretend. I'm going to show enough self-love in this situation. I'm not going to pretend like I'm there with you. Right. I'm going to acknowledge the fact that I'm in a different place and I'm looking for something else right now. So as nice as you are, as cool as you are, and as great a time as we're having, I'm going to accept the fact that you said that we are in different places. Let me relieve you right now. I was like, you don't have to worry about me trying to push this with you because it's not that. And it's okay. And I'm so glad that you were honest with me, because let me tell you what perspective will do. And that's why I can call this a good day, even though the fact that we're not going to proceed. Perspective and context of experience will provide you is I can look at this date compared to other experiences that I've had. I have been in experiences with guys that were not self-aware, that were not emotionally mature, and that sat there and said they were ready for something
And they
that they're
weren't.
not ready for.
Yeah.
That did their best to convince me and that acted like they were ready for something that they weren't ready for. So the fact that this man was able to do all the things that he did and take me on a proper date and still be honest about where he was, and we were able to be honest with each other and leave that thing and still be cool, great date. Now, do I
Awesome.
would I have liked to have a date where it had some legs, where like, yeah, we're gonna see each other again? Sure. But it was still a good date. It was
Yeah.
still a good date because let me tell you, following down that road of trying to be something with somebody where you're not on the same page, that has led to some of the most painful experiences in my dating
Trauma.
life. Trauma. And
Trauma.
I don't need to do it again.
Yeah.
So I thank him. I know he's listening. We had a great date, and I hope that you would agree. And
Hey.
we so cool. I had a birthday recently. He hit me up on my birthday to say happy birthday. That's how cool we are.
I just
Great
want to
date.
say shout out to Philip, aka what's his name? Richard.
Your date's name was
Richard.
Philip. My date's name was Richard.
Yeah, so Richard, aka
These
Mr.
are their
Magic,
aliases.
Mr. Magic. He knows why I'm calling him that. Thank you for representing your girl well. I appreciate you. Thank you for showing my girl a wonderful time. I owe you a drink. Come on
And
by.
Philip, I'm disappointed.
But
I am.
understanding. I give grace.
But we do give grace. Again,
Yeah.
like we said.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
Uh-oh.
I give grace. Lewis has thoughts. I was just going to say that, life does life. And I do believe you when you said you had some stuff going on that was preventing that. So, boom,
now
boom.
we're going to bring super producer Lewis on because he's been with us in the thick of this as we concoct this scenario and this scheme to have dates. And Big Lou,
just hit us with your thoughts. Just hit us with a couple real quick.
Before he does that, I just want to acknowledge that super producer said, dude can't park. So I'm not like,
Lewis
I'm not
got jokes.
He got jokes, but I just want to say I dated a guy once who took me out and couldn't parallel park. And in my spirit, I was like, we can't have a second date. So I feel you. Yeah, you need to be able to parallel park around me.
Not it was a deal breaker.
So what it was a deal breaker. Cause like, I mean, he was a UPS driver. How you a UPS
how you
driver?
A commercial, you got a CDL.
You can't
parallel
and
park.
you can't parallel park. Absolutely not.
I feel like, that's definitely a red flag. Even if you don't look at it as such, but you got, listen, in crisis emergency, you got to be able to park. You know what I'm saying? So that's one thing. But funny enough, I'm glad that it did work out, and I'm glad that there was a level of understanding on both sides as to where each person was. But I really truly enjoy the fact of him getting back to you, which is what Philip did not do. Correct. And my reasoning for that is because, especially off first impressions, your word is all you got at this point. I don't know you. So if I'm like, yo, call me in a couple of days, this and that, or whatever, and time goes by, you don't call me, and I have to call you, you then see that I'm actually putting forth an effort. So that should be looked at like, okay, she really does want to go out. Let me figure out what's going on with me. And if what's going on with me can't happen, then give her the option of being like, hey, you know what? Life is a little crazy right now. This and that, I can't really do this. So then she's not sitting there waiting. She doesn't have to call you. She doesn't have to be like, yo, what's up with your mans and them? Like, you know what I'm saying? And then go ghost. What's your reasoning for all that? So once again, I understand people go through things. I know things happen in life, but this is another part of life that is happening. And you have to address that as well. You can't just be out and not address. Like, that's crazy to me. So that was kind of my thing. So I wrote down lateness.
Yeah.
Word is your word. Wait a week. Why? And then pretty much make it known. Like, make it known to the other person what your intentions are. Point blank. Like, you know what? I really don't intend to do this. And hey, maybe what scared him was the fact of you all kind of said at one point, hey, do you want to go on the show and kind of talk about it? That could have scared him off. It might be the case. Let me know.
I don't think that was it. He was hyped to come on the show, which is why I was kind of surprised that it didn't happen.
Opportunity lost.
Opportunity lost. But I agree with you, Lewis. Basically, Lewis, you're saying communicate it. Just let people know what time it is.
So you know what?
Falls into communication and understanding.
So you know what? As Melanie and I were talking about how this finale episode would pan out because the grand experiment didn't pan out the way that we wanted it to, we started thinking about what our topic, our theme for the next season should be. And we tossed around a few ideas, but one that I came up with as a running theme was communication and the different forms and the different degrees of communication, the different forms, and how we all speak different languages. Because I think, and we talked about this with the when we had the men's panel, the men are from Mars and women are from Venus. And Melanie, you said something excellent while you were talking about your date
Richard.
With Richard, is that you didn't have to assume anything. He said what he meant. He meant what it said. You didn't have to interpret anything. Richard said, I could tell a woman that I'm just casual, but in her mind, that
She chooses
translates
to hear something else.
casual for now until I show something else. Right. When I think about some of the disparities within our community, right? When we look at even interracial relationships, and you know how like black women can't stand to see a black man with a white woman, because I should say some, it's all relative, not all of them, but some black women can't stand to see a black man with white women, not realizing that some of that preference may come from a difference in communication style, right? Because I have heard, and I actually talked to a gentleman who admitted that it was easier to date white women because they require less. So he thinks, taking him. So he thinks. But when I started asking him questions about a black woman that he was dating, it turned out, because it was a little bit difficult, but it turned out
it boiled down to a communication issue.
It was a communication barrier.
At the nuts and bolts of it, it was a
the
communication
nuts and
issue.
bolts. That was it. And so I think if we can kind of get in there and just highlight the pitfalls of communication and communication styles, right? That we could possibly come together and I could have a good date too.
Friend, first of all, don't say it like you've never had any good dates. Okay, you have. I do know, but I feel you though. There is a lot. That well is rich.
Yeah.
Like if we talk about that. So maybe we will,
But we also could toss it to the dipped audience.
Which I was just about to say, like dippers, we want to hear from you.
Yeah.
We actually do. Like we've had 2 seasons of y'all. We've shared some thought-provoking things. Y'all have been entertained. You've learned some things. Now we want to engage and see what it is as we toss around ideas, because we do have some ideas about what this 3rd season, because we are coming back for a 3rd. Let me just say that we will be back for a 3rd season. Hey. But as we plan that, we thought, why don't we get some feedback and some input from our very loyal listeners? What y'all want to hear us talk about? What do y'all want us to delve into? What do y'all want us to bring some guests on to delve into for next season? And hit us up on the socials. That'll probably be the best way. On IG at Dipped with Sweet and Hot. Send us some DMs. Let us know what you want us to delve into, and we'll look at that as we start cooking it up.
We want all the DMs.
A lot of DMs. We'll read them though. We'll read them. We'll read them. But for this season, though, as we wrap this up, just want to say it's been a really rich season.
Yeah, it's been very rich.
We've talked about like Black love. And for this issue, particularly for Black romantic love, what struck me as I told my story and as you told your story, this is not abnormal. Right?
This is our reality.
This is our reality out here.
Yeah.
Let me say, I had a really good date with someone who was communicative and responsive this time. However, I have sat in that same seat that Hollee is sat in this go round. I too have been ghosted more than once. I too have been in situations where there was just a failure to communicate. I'm not gonna get on my soapbox about ghosting, but anyway, I'm just saying
that shit is violent. Anyway.
That's the quote for me. Yes. But anyway, like it's just real out here. And what's happening on my end, great experiences, but not perfect because it's not a fairy tale ending. it's just real. What we experienced is real. What I had was a very real experience. What Hollee had with this foray into black romantic love, it's a very real experience that we are living out here, and we're not unique. And I think that's the thing that really just struck me. Like the things that you hear people talk about, oh, well, this happened, well, they're talking about those things because those things actually did happen, good or bad. So I just wanted to say that. But I think when I think about the whole season in totality and all the different subjects that we broached, one thing that I gotta say that I'm struck with that I take away from this season is just like, as Black people, especially, you can make a love language out of anything.
Out of anything.
And you can show love to anybody. Like,
Absolutely.
I think about specifically, like we did that whole episode about Black love languages, but like I'm thinking about the way that you picked up a brush and brushed somebody's hair. It's about the context in which you show that or do that thing. And it's about the intention behind it. If it's loving intention, if it's respect behind it, I consider it a love language to communicate with me well. So even this gentleman, Richard, who didn't even know me very well, I experienced that. Like, that's a love language for me. You know what I mean? And it's about the intention and the context in which you do it. So Black people, keep loving each other with intent in all the beautiful ways that we do.
And at the end of this season 2 finale, as we talk about love, I would personally like to say thank you and big shouts of love out to Big Lou,
Yeah.
Jacques, our super producer.
Yeah.
Who has been hanging in there with us
for 2 seasons.
Yeah. And a big shout out to Ashley Bland of Ashley Creative.
Yes.
Who has been our social media marketing.
Yes.
And to my bestie with the in-unit laundry and the perfect day. Melanie, I love you. I love you. This has been been an amazing season. And I think I've gone back and listened to episodes just to see how they land a little bit differently now. And I think that it's just enduring content that people can refer to for time immemorial. You know what I mean? So yeah. It was amazing.
It's been beautiful. Thank you to you, my co-host and bestie. Thank you, Big Lou. Thank you, Ashley. And thank you, Dip with Sweet and Hot audience. We saw some really good numbers this season for our downloads. Y'all are rocking with us. We love you. We appreciate you. We'll let you know what's coming up with season 3. But in the meantime, seriously, hit us up on IG at Dip with Sweet and Hot. Let us know what you're feeling on having us doing and delving into for this next season.
And with that, my name is Hollee Chanel.
I am Melanie Lauren. And until next season, this is Dip with Sweet and Hot. Love y'all with the Black Love.